Welcome, deviant drivers, to another edition of A Drink with a Driver. It's wet. You look like
Very wet.
Tori.
Stupid wet.
It is stupid wet. Yes. So they all asked for wet, and that's what they got.
We've got assholes in our league. God, it was horrible. I'm gonna try and unzip this without taking half my beard with it.
Yeah, I think it let up. So
There we
we're
go.
good. We're good. Oh.
Huh. Yeah, dude, rain. Holy crap.
Yeah.
When someone else needs to start using the wheel of death, because every time I touch it, bad things happen. Like when the first thing came up was rain 8, I'm like, what are the odds?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it was pretty heavy rain, and that was the strongest that we could have possibly had. And you started rolling the wheel, and it was like,
8, 6, 5, 7, if I remember right.
yeah. So you're horrible at picking safety car laps. You're not allowed to
Yep.
do that. You're
Yep.
horrible at picking weather.
Yep. Yep. So welcome back, everybody. Season 3.2. Here we are. I hate this track. I hate the Lambo, and I hate the rain. So
Well,
let's
you
continue.
picked the Lambo, and you drugged me along with you with the Lambo.
It was your idea.
Wasn't my idea. I said it
Yeah,
looked
I know it
cool.
wasn't your idea. I know. I know. The car you wanted was still available when it got to us. Um, I went with my gut, you know, and it's not paying off. So let's talk about what we're drinking. I'm
Okay.
drinking something that wraps up my race rather well. Black cherry white claw, because I'm a bitch. I'm gonna chug this whole thing. I'm not gonna chug it. I'm going to nurse it till the end. But welcome back. What are
Welcome
you
back,
drinking?
everybody. I'm having a Bloody Mary because that's necessary after all this.
Bloody Marys are like before noon.
Yeah, so
Whatever. You do you. Mister
don't
bail on
even
your
throw
team,
stones,
bail on your
glass house. You're drinking
teammate,
a
and
white claw.
then bail in your on your teammate, get into a better car, and freaking win the race.
Hey,
Meh.
you know what? They had some
Bitch.
issues over at Team Jag.
Bitch.
I, mm-mm.
Dirksy's over there like, come to us. We've got 3 ways and 4 ways. Come
Yeah,
to
he's
us.
got Skyline Chili. You've got White Claws.
I mean, it should be Bang Energy, but I'm not even worthy of that right now. So here we are. We don't have a full team. Got a shitty car. I deserve my White Claw. So here we are. It's good to be back, though.
It is good to be back. I think everybody had a good time. I know I enjoyed getting back into the GT3 cars. It seemed a lot longer of a period that we were out of them than I guess it really was. But when you get into that cycle of doing it every 2 weeks, when you kind of skip a month or however long it was between there, it seems to be a bit longer.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I remember Floody asking if we could have a break, and I feel like we had plenty of break for all this, even though the schedule didn't look like it. It was, yeah, it was almost too long. Like I was missing it. So it was good to get back out. And hell of a race to start with.
Well, let's
God,
talk about it. So we decided this year to make some rule changes, and everybody has been very vocal about wanting and insisting upon having some weather. Um, so I hope everybody had their fill of it, because we definitely got rain for the first track, for the first race in the season, starting right off the bat, and it was heavy rain, as we mentioned. So. Um, Pretty much rained just about the whole race, not all of it. It didn't start out rainy, and there was a period there where it started kind of dry out a little bit, but at least for GT3, but um, it was still pretty heavy for most of the race.
Yeah, I mean, again, starting out at rain 8, all of us looking at the weather and just watching the wall, the straight line of pure chaos coming at us. And everyone's just like, oh God, here we go. You know, Zen and his team calling out DEFCON numbers. Well, I mean, he got us all looking, but we're all like, yeah, DEFCON, we're screwed regardless.
Yeah,
So
I mean, you had the Lamborghini, and we know that's kind of a rough pick there. But you didn't
yep,
qualify bad. You qualified second, was it?
I did, yeah. So I was 6/10 off of Berman, who bested me again. Nice job, Berman. Um, no, the Lambo's got potential when the tires are doing what they're supposed to. The problem is it is a very, very small window for those tires to really execute anything whatsoever. So it does not last. And to that point, I spun out in qualifying, and then I spun out during the race. Not anybody's fault. It was the second to last turn, that large right sweeper. It's coming around, and just the rear end just goes. Doo, 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 doo. That was it, and that was it. I was pitting that lap anyway, but it was on lap 5, and I couldn't even get to the pits without spinning out. Traction control was on. I wasn't doing anything crazy. Just the rear end said, "Huh, well, we're gonna go for a little trip." So, yeah, and I did that in the dry, which is just another confidence booster for me going into the next race. Um, Rain made it even worse. It was a tough race for that car. um, yeah, so
I think a
it
lot of
is what
people
it
would
is.
agree with you. That was a tough race for this car. I mean, the cars that the car bank had to pick from to begin with, right off the bat. There's a couple in there that well, there's one I'll say that was definitely should have been picked earlier on. We
The
definitely
vet,
the vet. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
the
that's
vet should not be in this class of cars that we're running right now.
it should not. No, it is a very strong car. Its only downfall is that it is a gas guzzler, similar to the AMG and a couple others, but it's extremely strong. So
I am enjoying watching Besso drive it though.
as am I. And but the rest of them, they're cars people have avoided now for several seasons. And now we're down to cars that literally, are kind of, I wouldn't say bottom of the barrel because they're definitely not, non-starters or anything, but they're just not the preferential ones that the average people would like to drive.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like I said, I mean, and technically it is the bottom of the barrel of what cars we have left. I mean,
Statistically, yes.
that's what they're doing there. So, well, we're running. We haven't even talked about it since the draft. We've had so many different things move around. I mean, if we go back to the draft for a second, I mean, just in that race alone, we ended up promoting Dirksey, Preston, and Cam all to GT3, you
Yep.
know. Um, and Berman held his spot in GT3. So watching that whole dynamic play out and screwing with their minds, it was fun. Preston with the roller coaster he was on of losing and then getting in anyway. And then just shortly going into this week with Booth having to back out and fall down to reserve. He was very communicative through that whole process, and we sympathize with that and hope all is well. But you bailed on me because you are already hating the Lambo and knew what was on your plate, and successfully bailed on me, and it still hurts. It still hurts. That's why I have this raincoat on. It's not from protecting me from the rain. It's just a shield. to stop getting stabbed right here in the heart.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's to allow the tears to roll off your jacket.
Yes. 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 My team is incomplete. And then to sit there and watch you freaking win, I was like, oh my God.
So the Jag, literally, I don't remember how many miles I had on it. I'll go back and look. I mean, I think I had like maybe like 9 or 10 miles or maybe 20 or something on it when the race started. And I just remember that in practice when we were testing cars, the Jag was not my favorite. It was, we kind of knew which ones when we were testing, being that you picked the last car pick, that we knew certain ones were going to be gone. No point in even bothering
Yeah.
testing those cars. And so we started testing them, and the Jag was not my favorite. It was,
Yeah.
I was like, whatever. And, when I got to actually going to qualies and everything for this race, and I hadn't done a whole lot of practice. It was a very late decision to join Jag. And so we just kind of went out there and just did it. And it drove fine. It drives similar to the AMG, drives similar to the Corvette. As I've said many times, I prefer rear wheel drive cars, specifically front engine rear wheel drive cars. And, I'm not a big MR person. I don't particularly like the way they handle. They're kind of finicky. The Lambo is very finicky.
Kind of.
And so yeah, we posted a decent quali. And then just went to work during the race. And you know,
Yeah.
so let's talk about strategies during the race. So did you have a strat built, and what was it?
I knew no, one, I didn't have a strategy built. Two, I will say thank you to Zen for posting the time slots as to when the weather tiles are going to start. I did use that, which prevented me from pulling a floodie. And we'll all learn what a floodie is here in just a little bit.
Yeah.
But the only thing I knew, and sad to say, we didn't test the Lambo when we tested cars at all.
No,
And I picked it on a whim just to pick it on a whim. So
it looks
um,
good.
it does look fantastic. Thank you for the livery, but I knew that I could get 5 laps on softs. I knew that I could get 8 laps on mediums, and that was all I knew going into this. I didn't know anything else about wet tires. Um, I guessed that swapping over to softs at the end of the race would not happen, being we had rain 8 in the beginning and rain 7 in the end. I was like, there's no way that's going to work. And that was the extent of my strategy. And, pit lap came up, or safety car came out on 17.
Mhm.
And I spun out on lap 5 at the end of lap 5, went right into the pits, had to come back out again and pit for the rain coming in, which some drivers were able to get around without having to pit until the rain came, which was a benefit to them. So by lap 8, I'd already pit twice. And I'm like, this is not starting out well. But I knew the safety car was still, coming. I don't have to get into everything, but my wife was out of town this week. So Silo is trying to watch my son running around in the bedroom and pulling on my sleeve and trying to get into the wires, and just in all that, I didn't pit during the safety car at all. So literally I did not pit from lap 8 until the very end with 1 lap left. I only had 3% in the tank. If I had another 3%, I could have made it around with literally kind of a one-stop race.
Wasn't
But
he flashing a flashlight in your face at one point?
yeah, so freaking Silo gives my son one of the strobe lights off of his firearm. So he's hitting the strobe on it and strobing him in the face. And I'm like, dude, don't do that. Like, he doesn't need to be staring down a flashlight right now. And then I'm getting strobed, and it's just, I didn't have my mic on because I didn't want everyone to hear everything that was going on. And it was just chaos. And my head wasn't in it. And yeah, I made a mistake. and I didn't pit during the safety car. And instead of running out of fuel, I sucked it up and I went into the pits with my tail between my legs, knowing there was only one lap left. And yeah, so, but I made it that far because I switched my fuel over to fuel 3 to 4. And then when I saw I'd screwed up, I moved it out to 6 coming out of turns. And then I would put it down to 3 on the straights and then 6 in the turns. So I was just navigating through my fuel management, hoping that I could get to the end of the race. And I was just short. So strategy wise, I had no strategy. I successfully screwed that up. I did learn one thing about the Lamborghini, though. It also sucks off the line. I got passed by like 4 different cars. I was in second, and then obviously Berman took off in the Ferrari. Like, there's nothing that's going to catch that stupid car. But then I got passed by everybody else that was behind me. But by the time I got to the first turn, I was in like 4th or 5th place. So not only does the Lambo suck, but it sucks off the line as well. Just to add that to my experience race 1 with the Lambo.
Yeah, I didn't have a strategy either, but the Jag does not suck off the line. It doesn't take off like the AMG does. I don't think anything takes off the line quite like the AMG does,
The
but
Ferrari does.
the Ferrari, yeah, fair. Yeah, the Ferrari does. But I didn't have a strategy either. All I knew was there was going to be a lot of rain, or I assumed there would be a lot of rain. And I figured we had to get the soft requirement out of the way early. So I told the team, I said, let's just all start on softs and let's get that out of the way. Even if
Yep.
we have to come in after the first lap and put on wets for whatever reason, at least we've gotten the requirement done. And from there on, I was just kind of, we just ran, and literally when the tires were running out, there, it was like 7 or 8, I forget which lap it was that we had to pit. And we come out, we go in the pits, it's dry, we come out the pits, the rain started. I said, this is perfect. I went immediately to heavy wets, I said, not even mess with intermediates. We'll go to the heavy wets and run, and just kind of ran a consistent race. It was jammed up the entire time. The rain slowed people down and you're creeping around corners, and it was like the most aggressive passing, like cars passing each other around, but you're doing like 20 miles an hour in the rain.
It's like watching 2 grandmas in the grocery store
Yeah,
trying to get down the aisle with a grocery cart at the same time.
that's the whole race. There's lap after lap of that. And it was like, just don't give it too much throttle. And then you're trying to inch around somebody and you're just barely getting around. And then, oh, no, we got to go into a turn. And it was stressful, fun. It was one of the more fun races I think we've done, actually,
Hmm.
as aggravating as it was at points, but I think it was pretty fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, it clearly worked for you just winging it. And I mean, again, the advantage, I don't want to say the advantage, but your knowledge of front engine rear wheel cars obviously benefited you with going with that car, getting placed in that car, or bailing on me into that car, regardless how you think about it. But it definitely worked out, and definitely there was an advantage being able to get to the full stent off your softs to transition into wets. I mean, that was, and there was a few other cars that were able to do that. I don't remember offhand, but we haven't even talked about the cars that we're driving this season. So we've got the 4C that's running. We've got the Jaguar, which you're in.
Mhm.
We have the Peugeot that Saito and Sully are in. Nope, sorry. I'm in. Looking at the wrong one.
Preston and Chaotica for
Yeah,
GT.
Preston and Chaotica, which Chaotica led for quite a while.
He did.
Um, Pissed off at that too, because I'm like, dude, holding back all the time at Team Lexus and sitting out front for a while. And then Chevy with Besso Glovis. Again, I love seeing Besso in the vet. I just, it was the best car on the board, in my opinion.
100%.
But and I know Besso picked it because of that, I'm assuming. So they're going to be very strong later on if he gets used to the way that car drives. We got myself and Team Lambo. We've got Team Ferrari. with Zanchin and Tex, which is going to be a strong, strong team.
Yep.
Very strong team.
Now, between the Lamborghini and the Ferrari, which one sounds better?
I don't.
I think almost the Ferrari does,
I think the Ferrari sounds better.
but the Lambo's a close second, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They both sound terrific.
I'm still struggling at getting used to the Lambo sound because I'm so used to either the turbo spooling up or just the gurgling.
Mm.
And it's so high pitched that you know, as you get used to your car, you don't look at the rev limiter anymore because just based on audio, you know when to shift. And I'm
Mhm.
struggling with that because I'm shifting a little too early sometimes because it's so freaking loud, decibel wise. But yeah, and then we've got Team Renault, which was the first car off the board with Bad Rock and Floody. I thought it was a decent car. I wasn't 100% on board with the Renault, but those guys saw something in it. So, Floody rolling into his first team captain experience this season, reached out day of race asking some questions and poked and prodded a little bit about him being team captain. But the funny part during the race when he switched over to softs with it still wet on track, and Besso audibly, "Oh man, you going to softs?" uh,
It was great.
that's not gonna work.
That's not gonna work.
And then everyone just passing poor Floody as he's just doing pirouettes down the track. Yeah, I felt for him. That sucks. Live and learn. Live and learn.
Yeah,
He was a good sport about it though.
he was just kind of bouncing around in the grass when I came around him, and he was like, "Okay, yeah, just pass me." It was like, "Yeah."
Yeah. And then he jabbed at Zen in Discord, which was funny. Zen was talking about something, and Floody's like, "Well, I beat you," and I was like, "Damn, dude, that's cold." I know, like I could, I could give it to you like that if it happened, but if it's somebody else, you're like, I'm not gonna say it.
They're friends like that, though. They're
Oh
friends.
yeah, and Zen even said like I can take that from you, but nobody else, and I can respect that. So, and I felt for Zen. That sucks because I know he put a ton of time into it. He was excited about the race, and to have there's one thing to screw up a race, but when your hardware screws up, that just sucks.
It is, and yeah, sorry, Zen, that happened to you. We had a couple good battles a few times. He was quick, I will
Mhm.
say. He was
Yep.
pushing me a couple times. Um, and it was back and forth, and he got around me a couple times, and so it was looking to be a good race. I mean, he definitely had potential to win that one. So it's extremely frustrating when that happens. It's totally out of your control, nothing you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. That was unfortunate. But so finishing order and how we're sitting this season. You obviously took first place in the Jaguar. Um, Congrats to you.
Thank you.
Look how things have turned since last season. Look, you're up here winning now, and you're having a good time. I'm back here.
I know. I don't think. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen your name that far down the list, have we? We'll get there.
Uh,
We'll get there eventually. We'll get there. I'll read the second one.
Eventually, yeah, you might as well just go ahead and refill your drink because it's going to take a second for us to get here. So you took first place. Bourbon took second place and fastest lap in the Ferrari. He also held pole with the Ferrari. He had a very strong outing. Um,
He did, and
Preston,
if he had one more lap, he was going to beat me
mhm,
because
he was on inners.
at the end he was on inners. The track started drying. I was on full wets, and he was gaining, 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 and I was watching the clock just tick down the interval between us. And by the time the end, he was literally on my back bumper coming through the final
He
chicanes.
bumped you. He had a better run on you.
Yeah,
And had he gotten outside of you or inside, he would have taken it.
Yeah.
But you kind of both of your cars both lined up, and he kind of tagged you in the back, and that was enough to lose the momentum for him to get around you. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was a very close finish. I think you guys finished under 2/10, if I remember
Yeah.
right.
It was super close. Yeah. We were 1-2, definitely right behind each
Yeah,
other.
that was a hell of a finish. That was
Yeah.
a hell of a finish.
Yeah.
So no, that was definitely cool. Preston, freaking GR4 dude who lost the relegation race, comes in and takes third place in GR3. I'm sure he's still living on cloud nine all week, peacocking around, telling the guys at his shop, I beat all these guys in GR3. I got their number. He's driving the Peugeot too in the rain. What a jerk. Good job, Preston. Good job. And then right behind him, Cam in fourth. Again, coming out of GR4, we have high expectations for Cam.
We do. He's got
Um,
2 arms this year.
he does have 2 arms. So he came out well prepared with everything that Zen put together as far as their strategy. And the good thing about those two is, they have a good amount of time to practice, and I know they do. I know Cam practices a lot when he was with Floody last season. So that's going to be a hell of a team right there when it comes to strategies and everything. Chaotica came in fifth, who again led most of the race and then kind of just slipped up towards the end there, had to pit. Dirksey, another one out of GT4, has been in GT3 before, had a solid showing of 6th place. Besso, that vet's hard to learn in the rain. So I know they were wheeling and squealing all over the place. So fully anticipate him and Glovis, who finished right behind him, to be up at the front here soon. I took the lowest finish I've ever had in this entire league of 9th place, which I was just happy to get across the finish line safely in that freaking car.
Let's add insult to injury for just a second. So, is the 9th place finish, do you attribute that mostly to the car in general or to the wet weather with that car?
It's
In
gonna
other words,
be,
where you think it's going to perform better in the dry?
yeah. So let me swallow down some of this nastiness to answer your nasty question.
By all means.
So it's 3 different things. The car has potential. Are you writing notes?
No, go ahead.
All right, the car has potential. One, I hate Autopolis. I despise it. Can I get around it fairly quick? I can, but I truly hate that frickin' track. I don't know what it is. I just don't like the track. It starts off with turn 1. I hate turn 1, and then I get pissed off for the rest of the race. I just hate that track. So that's one.
Okay.
I did not practice much. I've had a lot going on lately, so I did not get to practice. The Lambo, like I said, obviously I took second for qualifying, so it's got potential. Just the tires don't hold up at all. It is a oversteer entry, understeer exit pile of crap. Like, it wants to kill you on entry, and then it doesn't want to do anything on exit at all. So I'm still trying to figure all that out. And in the rain was not going to happen whatsoever because I was in the rain. As far as in the rain, I could not get any pace with it. I mean, I could not get it to rotate. I was trying everything from brake bias to gear shifting to, the higher gears, lower gears, everything that I knew to get this thing to kind of rotate. And you would think it would rotate fairly well. I just struggled with it. I mean, I struggled all race with trying to get around the track. And just like we saw with Berman and Bad Rock last season with the Audi, is elevation changes and turning and braking at the same time, all 3 of those at the same time, really cause MR cars to go crazy.
Yeah.
Some of them worse than others. Lambo being right up there with them. So it was just a combination of all of it. I hate the
during
track.
testing, it's got a difficult dynamic in driving it that it's interesting. You have to, as you're turning, you typically want to trail brake through and then kind of ease out of the trail brake and back into the throttle. With the Lambo, you're almost using the brake and then letting off the brake and then but still in it, but then you got to put a little throttle down for to be able to get some traction. But then you're mitigating it between the two, almost like you're flying a kite to get it through the turn.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get it straightened up, then you can go full throttle. If
Yeah.
it's done correctly, it's fast and it's fun.
Yeah.
If done incorrectly at any point, it is extremely difficult. And
Yeah. And the understeer is worse than the Porsche. You know, the Porsche exit understeers can be bad if you don't know how to mitigate it. Um, it's just a tough car. It's a tough car. And then the compound on top of that, the gas is not great. And then on top of that, the tires, like if you mess up once or twice where the rear end, even if you catch it,
mhm.
if the rear end comes around a little bit, that tire wear just gets destroyed on the rear and it just compounds and gets worse. So the likelihood of you spinning out or even sliding a little bit just gets so much worse. I was practicing a little bit at lunch today, and if I put like 10 to 15% throttle in going around a turn, I can get it to rotate really well, but it's almost sliding under control, which is causing the tires to wear even
Chewing
more.
up tire. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting this season for sure. Um, yeah, I don't know how it's gonna play out. The tires are gonna be the hardest thing for me, honestly. I can get it around the track when it's not wet or whatever. But and I just got I can't with the Lexus, the McLaren, the Porsche. If you were getting near dead tire, you could almost limp around one more lap if you had to. You cannot in this. When the tire is dead, it is dead. Like
Red is dead.
red is, and it's not even red is dead. It's like if you're at 70%, you might as well pit because you're not going anywhere.
So we want to round out the rest. So number 10 was Bad Rock. Number 11 was Floody. And then sitting below the relegation line, which it's early. So, it's nothing to stress out about or nothing like that. Number 12 is Zen and Texas Speed at 13, who did not make the inaugural season event.
I did talk to him the other day. So
Good.
he's ready. He
Good.
just had to miss this race. So,
Okay.
and I'm thankfully glad he missed this race because he is a strong competitor, and him and Berman are going to do. Ugh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's switch gears for a second and let's talk about GR4. GR4 or they had a similar race to us. A lot of rain. It was close racing, battling back and forth. They experienced a lot of the similar things that we did. In their race, and we saw a whole new group of drivers sitting at the top, finishing positions for some guys. A lot of new drivers coming in, and so what was your take? What kind of stood out to you with the GT4 race?
For me, one, everyone did fantastic with their liveries. That Corvette livery is pretty sweet.
The multicolored one?
Yeah, the gradient on that was
Yeah,
really freaking cool.
that was really
Um,
cool.
I'm a little biased to the Lambo. I thought that looked also sexy as hell with the bang livery, but everyone did well with the liveries and everything like that. They had less rain than we did.
Mhm.
They did get very heavy rain as well. It just did not last as long, and they were able to finish on a much drier track than what we were able to. Safety car was a little earlier. There again, I mean, it was a tough race to. We already struggle with starting off race one because everyone's getting used to their cars. Everyone practices, but it's a lot different when you're racing in a pack. Then you compound that by new drivers, inexperience, um, cars that are squirrely already, bottom of the barrel cars, and then we're going to add rain on a tough track. So I will say overall, though, I mean, there was some bumping in here and there, but overall, I mean, they raced very clean. They
Yeah,
were respectful of one another.
I will say we always kind of think that, when we race, whether it's GT3, GT4, when we watch the races and everything, yes, the first race is always the most difficult one. You're getting used to new drivers in your league. Ones either came up or you're new to the league and you're racing with a new group of people. And there's always some type of little bumping, banging, this, that, and the other. But you really don't realize how clean the racing is within whether it's GT3 or GT4 as total, until you go out and you go do a lobby race within GT7,
Yeah,
and you
right.
realize absolutely how clean the racing is and how really competitive it is in a fair way that they got. But yes, you're right. The first race is always the most difficult because new car, new team, new weather, new track. You're learning everything. You're figuring out whether your strat was correct, whether your calculations were accurate. Um, and all those preps, you kind of go from there and build on the rest of the season, whether you got it right or you got it wrong. Or maybe you had
Even
no plan at all, like us.
well, and that's in our we didn't have a strategy at all. I mean, there was too many unknowns, too many variables with the
Yeah.
water with the weather coming in. It was I don't want to say it was pointless. It was good to have some stats on what you could do on tires and everything like that. But I mean, honestly, hindsight, I would have nursed softs to lap 8. I would have like forfeited positions to get soft tires to lap 8, pitted for heavy wets,
Yep.
and I would have ran a one stop from lap 8 all the way to the end.
Yeah.
Is how I would have raced this race. Had I known if I had to duplicate it and do it all over again, that's how I would race it.
Sure. Yeah.
So, um, livery wise, I did appreciate Arcane's livery with the Floody channel, which I thought was freaking awesome.
He did. He referenced the Plenty Channel. That was great.
Yeah, that was good. Another thing that stood out was the pit debacle on lap 9 between Kiriskai and Silo, who clearly have not practiced enough on this track to know how pit entry works for this track. And freaking Kiriskai comes in, and you know how it goes. I mean, pit entry goes left, then you freaking have to go right. He just went straight, just
Yeah.
tagged the wall. And as he's sitting there, here comes Silo right in behind him, just like lays in right next to him. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, you two are the epitome of racing.
Like we now know that you guys have done zero practice on pitting on this track, because you can't just yeet it into the pits like you do normally at any other
Dude,
track. It's a literal 90-degree left and a 90-degree right back onto pit lane. It's like a
yeah,
checkpoint in Fallujah to get into that pit.
dude, it's like the ending of Goodwood. Have the random wall just sticking on the middle of the
Yes.
track. That's
Yep.
exactly what that is, except for just trying to get into the pits. So yeah, no, it was again. I mean, there was tight racing in this race for GR4. I can't remember when and who and what. I don't come with any details, but I know Anatole had a hell of a pass on two different drivers at the same time and grabbed two positions. Um, I feel like I talk about him a lot on these podcasts as we continue because he's continuing to get better and better and better and still being on the controller, and dealing with the lag and everything like that.
Mhm.
So that was cool to see. The Lambo had a little bit of an advantage being all-wheel drive. I don't think there is another all-wheel drive in this grouping of cars that we have left. So that may become a issue in later races when it's dry all the time and all-wheel drives don't do well with tire wear, so we'll have to play that out and see. I was very proud of what T Deeds did and taking second place for only his second race within the league. So he did a good job in the rain. So
let's talk about the finishing order. Finishing first was Hyphy Honda with his first ever win within GT4, taking first and fastest lap with 21 points for the race. Second was T Deeds, who performed much better than you did in the Lamborghini. We will say. So he's carrying your weight there.
he is carrying our weight. I did do better than Silo though, which I just got done telling a story about how he hit the pit wall, so that's not saying much.
Rounding out third on our podium was Rutaz, who was driving the Chevrolet. Again, top performer right out there. Good job. Well done. All three of you guys, again, it's early, are setting above the promotion line. They're competing for a GT3 slot for next season.
I mean, it's Honda's first, Deed's first podium, Rutaz's first podium. Like, and that's where the excitement from the promotion relegation is working, because now different drivers are getting their opportunity to get up at the top. And it's not that they're racing with a lesser class of people. It's just, it's competitive and it gives them that opportunity to get to the front, which is, I'm happy to see new drivers up at the front.
Absolutely. Fourth was Saito with 11 points. Anatole on Team Jaaaaag was at 10. Devin with 9 in 6th place. And Lalo in 7th. Thrasher, solid Thrasher right there. Still, Thrasher's in the Ferrari this year. And right there in 8th with 7 points. Arcane and Kira Sky, who are both teammates in the Renault, 9th and 10th. Silo in 11th. Sully, 12th. Golden Oracle, 13th. And Huge Jar, 14th. Golden Oracle and Huge Jar did not drive in this competition, so they're still at 0 points. But yeah, so that was the finishing order for those races. Does everybody have rain out of their system now, or do they want more of it? I don't know.
God, I hope so. I really hope so. I don't want to see any rain in this car. Let me say that. I don't want to see any rain in this car. And then there's one other track I'm scared of this season, and that's Bathurst.
Bathurst.
Coming down the mountain in this car, I'm already dreading it. I'm already dreading it.
It'd be like a pinball, just go bing, 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 bing.
Just don't. If you're behind me, just stay out of the way, because it's not gonna go well at all. But it's gonna be a challenge. But I'm excited to see what I can do with it. So we'll see. I mean, I put together a decent quality.
And that was in the dry.
There, and now you're leading. So is this the year? Is this the season that you take podium?
No, we'll see.
How do you feel about next track? We head to Trial Mountain. Your car has a fantastic top end. Well, acceleration to top end, I should say.
Yeah, Trial Mountain, it should be. Trial Mountain's a very familiar course to everybody. It's no surprise. So, yeah, we're feeling pretty good about it. We'll see what happens.
So, so I just posted a question in the Discord.
Okay.
We're shooting a podcast. Anybody have a random question for us? And Arcane says Gray, Gray, or Gray, Grey. Which one is it?
It's an E.
Why is it an E?
Because I don't know. That's an excellent question. I always spell it Grey. We're talking about the color, I assume. I don't know how else and whatever the context.
Well, yeah, because if you really want to get down to it, I mean, this gray, I think gray with an A has a little more brown to it. Gray with an E has a little bit more blue hue to it.
I don't know if that's right.
No, I'm going back to our one of our visits from one of your prior owners when we sat and for an hour talking about the color gray.
50
I remember
Shades of
that
Grey.
crap.
Yeah,
Did I tell you I ran into her and I asked her about that whole situation? She
classic.
started cracking up laughing. So I guess the question is Battleship Gray Gray or Grey?
I don't know. That's we'll have to put that to poll because I've seen it both ways, and that is an interesting question. Who posed that?
Arcane?
Arcane. Well
Mm-hmm.
done. Well,
Yeah,
well
it
done.
kind of, I mean, Greyhound is with an E,
Greyhound is with an E.
which has nothing to do with the color. I mean, I guess the bus is kind of gray.
I
You
mean,
ever
it's a
been on a
dog.
Greyhound
I mean, Greyhound, the bus is, off of a dog. So, I
You
mean,
ever been on a Greyhound bus?
on a bus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been on a bus.
A
I mean, I don't know if it was a
Greyhound bus.
Greyhound bus or it was like another bus like a Greyhound.
Okay.
The
So you're
bus.
going with gray. So according to Google, GTS, Google that shit. Gray is more frequent in American English, whereas gray with an E is more common in British English.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm more British.
And chaotica. Do you know what a speed square is?
I don't know. I don't
It's a
think so.
construction device that helps you make perfect right angles and stuff like that. Anyway, it's shaped like a triangle, and he asks, why is this called a square when it clearly only has three sides? It's because it can make a perfect square. Chaotica. Okay, it's enough for the questions. I felt like we were running out of content, so I felt like I should just lean on those in the
That's good.
Discord.
Hey, you know what?
Um,
Maybe this is like a new thing we just do. Like when we do film, maybe we do a random question. Let everybody kind of come up with one and they get one. And it's just whichever one we pick. There's only one. How about it?
yeah.
Give us a thumbs up. Leave us a comment below if you think we ought to do that on each
We
podcast.
don't even check the comments. Do you check the comments in YouTube after we post this?
Yeah.
Lies, because you've never responded to
I do.
anyone's.
I give the little hearts out to people.
Oh my gosh.
That was
Hashtag
me.
adorbs. You are a winner at heart and at the topless. In the rain, you're a winner. Freaking great. I'm
Teams.
drinking White Claw. Where's my hug at son, or look at how small my hands are, daughter? Wait, what?
Teams. So where teams stand right now? I know since you're not at the top, you don't care anymore. But okay, so
I don't
where?
have a full team. You bailed on me. Continue.
Well, yeah, look, you weren't a team player in selection of the car. In all fairness,
Whatever. Continue. Talk about your teams.
so right now, team in the lead right now is Team Alfa Romeo with 40 points. Team Jaguar, driving the Jag, is in second with 39 points.
Mm-hmm.
Peugeot is third with 34. Chevrolet is fourth with 30. Lamborghini, see, not too bad, fifth. You're doing
Yeah, and both the two bottom teams were missing multiple drivers.
I mean, you know, that's fair point, but Lamborghini is fifth with 21 points, Ferrari 23, and Renault with 16. So um, that is where teams stand as of now. There's still a lot of races left. It's not the longest season we've ever had. It's more of a normal.
Really? That's what we're starting with. That's not going to work because it's not the longest
Yeah,
season.
it's not the
So,
longest season. It doesn't even work, does it? But at any
so I
rate,
go back to my previous question that I asked you earlier. Are we done with the teams, or do you have one more left?
no, I'm done with teams.
We're good.
We're
You
good.
announced everybody's team.
I announced everybody's team.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. So, how do you feel about the next race, Trial Mountain?
Trial Mountain. I felt fine about Trial Mountain.
It's still one of my favorite videos from the first video we put together with GT3. when everyone's coming down that long straight. You remember the braking
Yep.
zone and all those
Yep.
cars fan out?
I was in the AMG there. So
Go figure.
the older AMG,
That is
but
true. That
it
is
was a
true.
it
But
was a
that's
great camera angle.
there is still to this date, there's two scenes that I love video wise, and it's that one
I know
and
the other one,
it's the
Lamar
other one of, huh?
at Lamar.
Yeah, me and Glovis passing Besso on each side at the same rate and just blowing his doors off.
That's what was in the middle, and both cars go. "Yaw."
Glovis was in the 4C, I was in the Mustang. Those are my two favorite videos from all the kind of recaps that we have. Besides the one when I blew the doors off Besso again in the Pagani. And he's like, what do you have nitro on that? Good old Besso. Uh,
Uh,
so call
how
it
do you
today.
feel about
Who
Child
who
Mount
has who has the best setup, team wise and car wise?
with
Who
regard to which
takes
one?
the season? Yeah.
What do you mean, Lambo or Jag?
No, out of everybody, we know where I'm going to end up. I'm going to end up maybe relegated at this point. once once Tex comes back and Zen's PlayStation starts working again, I mean, doot, doot, doot. GT4, here I come. No, who do you think has the strongest setup based on team, car, strategy, dynamic, history, whatever? Who do you think has the upper hand after race one?
I mean, the points don't reflect it. The positions don't reflect it. But
Yeah,
this race is hard. This one race is hardly a meter stick to be able to
right.
measure it. Right now, I'd have to say Chevrolet. Chevrolet,
Really?
yes, Chevrolet is by far, I think, stacked to, with the schedule that we've got, they've got the most advantage to them. I know that car. I'm not giving them any tips or hints or tricks or
Yeah,
anything.
shut the hell up.
So, but it's a strong car. They know that. It's just finding the little quirks and the ways that they need to do it to make it be good. What about you?
I think it's Ferrari.
That's a good
I
one too.
think I think Berman and Tex know how to drive this car, and they also have Thrasher, who once he gets used to his car, as we've seen, he kind of struggles in the beginning getting used to his car like we all do. But once he gets used to it, like we saw in the Audi last season, he starts to push. And we haven't seen Jar, who was in fourth place last season, didn't even race. So you've got Bad Rock, you've got Tex, and you've got Thrasher and Huge Jar on the same team. Ferrari's is strong in Group 4, so I think that's who I'm kind of pinning my hat on right now. If they can maintain the tire wear in Group 3 and make that work out, I think they're going to do extremely well. That's where I'm sitting right now.
Definitely a possibility.
Yeah. So, but Trial Mountain, we shall see. It's a good track. Everyone knows the track. Once again, one of the strong suits of the Lambo is not having a good top end, so we're also going to be great for that. And the other good thing is the start line is so far back that I should be in seventh place by turn one. Now, here's the question. If you go back into deviant history and look at all the times that we've raced Trial Mountain, the question is, how many times have we successfully pulled off turn one unscathed?
Hmm.
I
I
believe,
don't I don't know if it's ever been done clean. Maybe once. Have to go back and look. I know there was some catastrophes in the past.
yeah.
Massive ones.
Oh, yeah.
Uh
Yeah, yeah, we've had major accidents at turn one.
it's a good thing it can't rain there.
I mean, that is a positive, but yeah, just that high speed turn one with everyone trying to funnel in there, and then it gets condensed down to negative G's and that right-hander right into a left-hander. Yeah.
Fun when you're doing it by yourself. A little more challenging when you're doing it 2 and 3 wide.
It's just a little bit. Just a little bit. There's gonna be some we're gonna have to ask everyone to mute their mics until lap 3. I think that's smart actually. Mute your mics until lap 3. We're good to go. So I'll end with, unless you got anything else, I'll end with, we are out of chapstick in my house. And I asked my wife to bring me some chapstick. And this is what I got.
You got a crayon?
No, it's chapstick.
Oh.
Yeah. Lip smacker, Crayola chapstick.
What is it, like watermelon flavor or something?
No, actually, it's Granny Smith apples. Surprised you didn't know that. So, yeah. But good luck to you, Trader, on your Jaguar. You did well.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I think you started this season like you did last season because you won. No, you didn't win Daytona. Vic did. That was the season before, or the season before. One of those.
A couple seasons ago.
It
was in the Corvette.
It was in the vet. I do remember that. Yeah. Is there any track you're really excited about on the docket this season? We've got Trial Mountain. I'm doing this with my head because everything's sideways. Trial Mountain, Monza.
Monza by far is going to be my favorite. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to. I don't even want to say it, but it's in reverse because Anatol's going to correct me if I say it wrong, and I'm going to say it wrong because we say Alsace. Yeah, but it's Alsace or
Alsace.
Shit, I've already screwed it up. I'm getting corrected.
Alsace. Alsace.
And then we got Bathurst, which again I told you I'm terrified about. St. Croix B.
Nobody knows.
That's like racing around a whole bunch of bowl of rice.
Yep.
And then Nürburgring will be exciting.
It will be. And it's the last one.
I predict I will crash in one of the carousels because the rear end of this car will come around. Undoubtedly.
Can't wait.
You're an asshole. All right. I'm good.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time after,
Cheers.
of course, GT racing. So we'll see you. Have a good one.
Night.